Welcome to the Stronger Than Steel podcast with your host, Austin Davidson and John Keir, talking Steelers all the time. Now, here's Austin and John.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Stronger Than Steel podcast. Today, it is Season 6, Episode 33, late on a Sunday night as we transition into, Austin, a Victory Monday. How you doing, man?
Doing good. Always feels better after a win.
So, Austin, the Pittsburgh Steelers gutting out a 15-10 victory over the Cleveland Browns today. Welcome back to the podcast, talking the Pittsburgh Steelers improving to 4-3 on the season. And I guess would you call it an ugly win? Does this team win pretty at all? In all their wins, there's been some definition of ugly.
Yeah, I don't know if there is a such thing as a pretty win for the Steelers. Not at least on a consistent basis. This was a win, though. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I was going to say,
if it's ugly, pretty, it's a win.
I was going to say we should not care, though, because all that matters is getting the win, and I had been told many a time over the past 8-9 months that the Steelers were not going to beat Cleveland at all this year, and right now the Steelers are 1-0 against the Browns this season. So, does this tell you that wild card game was kind of a fluke?
I think it always was. I think that the team came out a little bit overconfident, and then they just absolutely blew it with the mistakes they made, and then the mistakes were insurmountable. Still, the Steelers had a chance to come back in that game after being down 28-0 very quickly. So I do think that game was a fluke. I still do think that the Browns overall are probably a better team this year, better than the Steelers, but they weren't able to get the victory, so they weren't good enough on this Sunday.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, I think anytime that you are down 28 points or you score 28 points in the first quarter, I don't think that it's anything other than a bit of a fluke. And that's not to say that the Browns wouldn't have won that game anyways. And I'm not looking to take, things away from the Browns. They deserved that win for sure. And, I agree with you. I do think on the whole that's a more talented team. We both picked them to be in the Final Four. I picked them to go to the Super Bowl this year. But obviously they are below expectations this season. As a matter of fact, I talked to John Gehring in preparation for this week, hearing his side of things for the Browns, and he talked a little bit about how injuries have impacted this team, and they haven't been quite where they thought they were going to be. I do think that most people, us included, thought the Browns were going to be able to win this one. And does this game say more about the Browns or the Steelers? Because on one end, I think it says a lot about the Browns not being... on one end it says the Steelers are a better team than I think a lot of people think, but on the other end I think it might be as simple as this was just an organizational type of character win, that a team like the Steelers with that established veteran culture can win more often than a team like the Browns that is still trying to create that identity.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that this was the win that I was talking about for the Steelers going forward, because this is what I feel like is what the Steelers' game plan should be. The defense should be in control of the game and give the offense a manageable amount of points to put up. As I said, I really think that I mean it showed in this game. I don't trust the offense to put up more than 17 points consistently. They weren't able to do it today. Granted, part of that was because of bad play calling that it left the Steelers without a kicker, because they would have had about 18 instead had they done the smart thing, but I just don't believe in the offense enough to go forward. However, this win is what I think how the Steelers should go forward, still manage to get wins. The defense has to be suffocating. The defense can only allow a very little amount of points, like somewhere in the 13, under 20 for sure, but somewhere in like the 13 to 17 point range at the max, and allow the offense to still be able to stay in the game because of it. So.
And they have to get turnovers.
Yeah, honestly, I don't even know if the turnovers are important anymore. I tweeted it during the game, but the offense is so inept that I feel like they haven't done anything off of the few turnovers they gotten. Granted, one was to James Pierre to end the game against the Broncos, so they weren't even given a chance. But do you remember that Terrell Edmonds pick that went straight up in the air at the 40-yard line? That drive went nowhere for the offense. This game, the Steelers were put in a solid. The offense was put in a solid spot after a turnover. They did nothing. Then, granted, they couldn't even kick a field goal even if they wanted to. So, but I just feel like the turn. I'd rather the defense just be suffocating at this point. The turnovers aren't helping. I mean, it'd be great to get more turnovers because then you don't have to start the drive with the punt, but they're not. I'm not as worried about those anymore because I don't even know if the offense has in it. The offense has to get lucky. That is basically it. There's no good from the offense for the most part. It doesn't matter if you get those plays. You have to hope for one lucky drive that gets you there. Steelers got about got three in this game, where they were able to get down there. So I'm not as worried about the turnovers anymore.
Well, I mean, of course you would rather see the team give up 7 points and have no turnovers rather than 17 and turn it over twice. But at the end of the day, I do think that they are still important just because of the fact that they haven't gotten many this year. So you mentioned the James Pierre interception. That's one of now 6 on the year. So the Steelers couldn't do anything with that. Just going down the line with their turnovers, you mentioned the Terrell Edmonds one that happened early. That didn't go anywhere. The one against the Bills didn't go anywhere. I believe the one against the Packers, that was a fumble recovery, wasn't it?
I don't remember the one against the Packers, honestly.
Yes. Aaron Jones up the middle, fumble forced by Chris Wormley, recovered by TJ Watt. That ended up going to, that was a 4th and 4 that became a 4th and 9 where the Steelers should have gone for it but didn't. So they haven't done much with the turnovers this year, although they did turn their one turnover against Seattle into a win on a technicality, if you will, just because it led to the game-winning field goal. I think when you get more turnovers, it will lead to more offense, though. They're on pace this year for what? 18 turnovers? No, not even. They're on pace for 15, I think. 15 or 16 turnovers this year, which is far below the mark that they need to reach in order to have those defensive qualifications for teams that win the Super Bowl, that 23 to 25 number. They're far below that right now. And I'm not trying to criticize heavily. I think the point I'm trying to get across is that more splash plays will eventually lead to more capitalization from the offense. And we haven't seen much yet, but there's also only been 5 opportunities for that. So I guess that's more so what I'm trying to say, is that there's just a small sample size right now.
Yeah, I suppose that's fair. I don't know. Still 1-6 isn't very good.
Look, like we were saying, this offense needs to run the ball successfully, get chunk plays, and not turn it over. Now, in terms of success rate, this offense didn't exactly run the ball well in this one. I will say this is actually one of the rare instances where I feel like the raw numbers are actually pretty good. And they don't tell the story as well as the run success rate, of course. But I think that it's true that they did enough, even if it wasn't always successful, because there weren't a ton of negative running plays on the day. As a team, the running backs finished 11 for 28 on successful runs, which is just a touch under 40%. And they also had successful runs, 2 from Chase Claypool and 1 from Ray McLeod, that made it an official 14 out of 31 on the day, so that helped it a little bit. And not great numbers, just 3.6 yards per attempt on the day, 115 yards, but I do feel like this was a game where the running game did just enough to help the team's effort.
Yeah, it was a good showing. It was good enough. They didn't get any explosive plays running the ball, at least over 20 yards. If you want to call over 15, they did, but not that. But they did enough. As you said, they didn't go backwards all too much. The only play that I recall going backwards, like actually losing yards, was that toss to Balaj off to the side.
Yes.
And he's a north-south runner. Like, it's always been... I didn't like that play call at all because we know what Balaj is, and that is that he's a north-south runner. His yards per attempt isn't very good. He's like a short yardage kind of guy. So putting him out there on a toss wasn't my cup of tea, and it went for -3 yards, but it was like the only carry he got because I think he got injured maybe on that play, maybe shortly after. I'm not really sure, but yeah, that was the only negative play that the Steelers had rushing.
Oh, I believe he said that he had a rib injury?
He got hurt in the ribs.
Now, would you believe that that's actually not the first time that he's had a carry like a toss like that this year.
He had another one?
He had one just like that, I believe, against the Seahawks or against the Broncos. I think it was the Seahawks where he actually picked up 4 yards. So I think that's why they decided to do it again. Again, not saying that they should have. That obviously was not smart, but I digress.
Yeah. I didn't remember that.
Yeah, so just good enough. Where do you stand with this offensive line in terms of run blocking? It's certainly not a great overall run blocking unit, but do you feel like they've turned the corner?
I think they're improving. I think that we're seeing some improvements. The Browns' defensive line is actually pretty solid, so I thought that they did an okay job in this game. I mean, Dan Moore was getting destroyed by Myles Garrett, but Myles Garrett didn't really make it. As we pointed out on the last podcast, the preview, Myles Garrett didn't really make that much of an impact on the run game, I felt like. I mean, maybe the Steelers avoided running to the left, but, like, whenever the Steelers ran, like, he wasn't making an impact in that regard. As a pass rusher, yeah, but I thought the line did decently run blocking in this game.
As a unit, you mentioned the whole Myles Garrett situation. Let's kind of flip over to the passing game now. Ben Roethlisberger, okay, again, I didn't feel like there were as many plays where it looked like he should have been picked off. I know there were a few errant throws, but I didn't feel like there were any obvious, okay, that should have been picked off today. Maybe were there any? I don't remember there being any.
There was one. There was one that played to Diante Johnson where there's 3 guys in coverage where he didn't put enough air underneath it.
Yeah.
It would have been a good play if he put a little bit more air into it because it looked like Diante Johnson had a step. It was in triple coverage by technicality, but yeah, he put it a little bit too low. Brown's defender probably could have came away with it, but that's like the only throw that I could think of.
Outside of that, I thought he was fine. Again, not pushing the ball down the field successfully enough. Too many plays throwing short of the sticks on gotta-have-it plays. The same issues that we've seen this team have. But I'm wondering if it's just a philosophy with this offensive. They're not going to take those chances often because they don't want to turn it over and they don't want to make mistakes. And they're only going to do that when they have to.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good philosophy. If you think that driving down the field is going to cause more turnovers, if you really don't trust yourself that much, it's probably best to do it that way. Steelers didn't have a turnover today on offense, so.
Hey man, they haven't. They worked for the Broncos in 2015, and they had that fluky turnover against the Seahawks, where Ben kind of had that pump fake, which has only happened one other time in his career. So, I mean, the last couple weeks they've done a good job, or the last couple games, I should say, they've done a better job of not turning it over.
Yeah, and that reminds me, you know what 2 key stats the Steelers beat the other team in? Turnovers and penalties. Both. Oh, wait. What? Okay. I am mistaken. I apologize for that. I really thought that the Browns were the more penalized team. It felt like they were getting penalized the entire time as well. I apologize. They didn't win in both stats. Damn.
What about explosive plays?
I don't know who won the explosive play battle. That one, I know that the Steelers had about 4 because one was to Zach Gentry, one was to Chase Claypool.
Pat Freiermuth had one.
Oh no, Chase Claypool didn't have an explosive. He got 17. Najee Harris had a catch for 20.
There's Gentry at least 4 in the passing game.
Oh, and Diante Johnson. That's the one I was missing. It's Najee, Gentry,
which was a double explosive too.
Yeah, he doubled it. So I'm pretty sure they won that because Njoku got 1. He went for 24.
Harrison Bryant had 1, and
Chubb ran for 21. So I think they had 3.
And Pittsburgh had 5? Really 6 if you want to count the double.
Yeah, something.
And they also had the turnover, so that means they would have been +3 in the Tox category this week.
Yeah, nice.
So, hey, again, winning that stat, if you're +2, you win the game 80% of the time.
Nice. Yeah, they did a good job with that. Did a good job.
Diante Johnson continues to be the lead receiver for this team. Only caught 6 of his 13 targets, which was a bit disappointing, but I felt like he did a good job getting open like he does every week, and obviously had the biggest offensive play of the game, taking that quick RPO up the field for 50 yards. And I have to give the guy a lot of credit. I've practically accused him of being dumb before. And he was running down the left sideline. I don't know if he heard Chase Claypool yelling at him, because Claypool was visibly yelling, or sorry, not visibly yelling, but visibly pointing in his direction to sort of get down. But obviously Johnson was in front of him. So unless if Johnson heard him, I would assume that Johnson just went down on his own to stay in bounds. And every second counted on that drive, because the last play of the game wasn't a kneel down. It was a 4th down Ben Roethlisberger rollout, just chucked the ball out of the end zone to burn the last 6 seconds of the clock, which, by the way, I don't think I've ever seen a Steelers game end like that, where they've had the ball.
Yeah, it's not very often that you get that chance. Usually it's just a kneel down, but there was just enough time to do that in that fashion. It was weird to see, though.
And I got to be honest, I'm kind of surprised the Browns played that the way they did. If I were them, I'd have brought 8 players.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense, because you know what the Steelers are trying to do? They're trying to save enough time to just run out the clock, so you might as well run it and engage 8, and what's the worst that happens? You give up a touchdown on the last play, you give up a completion to someone? I don't know. I guess they were worried that there'd be one dump down option underneath just in case, but that implies, because there was 6 seconds left, that implies that that person wouldn't be taken down in the 6 seconds, because on a 4th down, if I'm not mistaken, as soon as he goes down, the clock stops.
The clock stops, yeah, because of change of possession.
Yeah, because of change of possession. So I would have given the Browns one Hail Mary-esque type throw had that happened. So yeah, I don't think they were just ready. I don't think they were ready for that scenario.
What's bizarre is they blitzed, but they blitzed from the left side. Wouldn't you want him, if he's going to roll out, to roll to his bad side? I mean, you should blitz him from both ends, obviously, but if you are only going to blitz him from one end, wouldn't you want to blitz him from the offense's right side?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It would have made sense.
Very strange.
Yeah, obviously he rolled to the right, and it gave the Steelers enough time to just toss one up and end the game, so I'll take it.
Yeah, so exactly. And elsewhere, Chase Claypool, even though he only caught 4 passes, all 4 of his receptions I felt like were big time. Had a combat catch, which we really haven't seen much of at all this year. Had a nice sliding grab over the middle. I know it wasn't big on the stat sheet, but I feel like Claypool played a really good game in this one, and obviously contributed with a good run in this one as well.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the ball was pretty much spread out this game. Other than Diante Johnson's one big catch at the end, everyone had about 40 yards. Obviously, Gentry finished with 39, Freiermuth with 44, Claypool with 45. You take off that last play by Diante Johnson, which is a great play. I don't want to take it away from him, but before that, he only had 48 yards himself. So I feel like the ball was spread around pretty well in this game.
And I think that's part of what helps this passing game go. Obviously, Diante Johnson is the guy that you want to be the consistency guy, the rhythm guy moving the chains. But when that isn't working, or it is working, that's the next best thing, is to be able to spread it around to all these other options. And again, no Eric Ebron in this one. Zach Gentry and Pat Freiermuth had to step up in this one. Freiermuth, obviously the star of the offense in this one, not just because he had a solid game in terms of catching four of those targets for 44 yards, but that touchdown almost, I don't know, you go back and think about the week 1 touchdown that Diante Johnson had, very similar plays. Would you consider this one more impressive, or the Diante Johnson one in week 1 more impressive? Because they were very similar plays.
The Diante Johnson in week 1 compared to what? I apologize.
The Pat Freiermuth touchdown today.
This one was more impressive to me. I thought that the fact that he was able to re-corral the ball and then pulled his feet down as a tight end, I think it's a little bit more impressive, because he's a tight end. Like, the footwork to me is more of a wide receiver trait. I mean, everyone should work on everything at any given time, but I was more impressed with this touchdown catch.
Both very similar plays, though, for sure.
Very similar, yeah.
And give Freiermuth a ton of credit. The guy, him and Najee Harris, we've complained a lot about the whole running back stuff. I'm sure no one wants to hear more about that. But you think about this offense going forward, they have 2 guys at running back and tight end that should be in place for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, it's very cool. Definitely Freiermuth feels like a piece that could be here for a very, very long time. already, and I mean he's just a rookie, and obviously anything could change, but he just got that feel to him that he's going to be a long-time Pittsburgh Steeler.
Hopefully, yeah, he looks like a guy that could be around for the next 8 to 12 years, hopefully.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Obviously, have not had that, the true franchise tight end since Heath Miller, so looks like the Steelers may have finally found something there. And stepping up in the wake of Eric Ebron was Zach Gentry, a guy that I have had a lot of questions about coming out of the draft 3 years ago. Finally appearing to have made the most of his opportunity and has grown into a pretty solid NFL player. 3 receptions for 39 yards on the day, including an explosive play over the middle where he found a soft spot in the zone. And, he's not flashy. We compared him to Jesse James and said that his ceiling was basically just the average point of Jesse James' career. And while I'm not sure he's quite there, he's clearly looking like a guy over the past few weeks that could be a solid number 2 option going forward.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't drop the ball, I'm already going to be happy with you. I mean, he hasn't gotten quite the sample size that Eric Ebron has, so it could start at any point, but he looks like a solid tight end too, like actually serviceable. It does make Eric Ebron very expendable.
And I wouldn't expect him to get traded, especially if he's injured. I don't think he can be traded if he's injured. Or is that maybe just injured reserve?
I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure you can be traded if you're injured, because I'm pretty sure Melvin Ingram's in that boat and he's going to be traded.
But is he really injured, though?
Yeah, but
let's get the tinfoil hat strapped on.
Yeah, what was reported was he is. So, like, to the NFL, he is injured, because that's, like, what they told him. But, yeah. Ebron, I think, is more likely to get cut. Because Ebron, to me, is more of a guy that might make us stink. Like, he said that he's upset about the lack of like, targets and stuff that his yeah. And, like, that wasn't, like, he wasn't mad about that. That wasn't him being, like, a distraction or anything. It was just, like, he was actually just, like, I'm real, like, but, like, based on his other stints in other places and stuff, I feel like this could become a problem. Like, if they decide that, like, Gentry's even going to get a little bit more time than him and cut into his time further, I feel like down the road he could be like, I want to be cut. Please let me go somewhere else. So, in the future, I think it's more likely he gets cut later in this season rather than traded before Tuesday.
So what's more likely, do you think? He gets traded, he gets cut, he stays with the team the rest of the year?
I have it as he stays with the team as 1. I have it as he gets cut 2, and then he gets traded as number 3. It would be cool to trade him, though. Someone wanted him.
I agree with all of that you just said, but I don't see this team trading him because I just don't think that's their philosophy. He's not making a stink like Melvin Ingram apparently is, and you never know. One injury to, Gentry or Freiermuth, and all of a sudden Ebron's important. So I don't imagine this team would do that. And I could only see him. I don't think he's going to make it bad enough where the team is going to have to consider releasing him. So that's kind of where I stand as far as that goes. Elsewhere, Najee Harris had a pretty quiet day out of the backfield. The running backs caught 4 passes, and James Washington continues to not be utilized all that much. Maybe they should trade him.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, might want to make a package to a team for maybe a better wide receiver. Give a pass rush needy team Melvin Ingram and James Washington, and maybe get someone of decent caliber. I don't know who that would be because that's not something I looked into, but Washington is definitely not being used. I think part of it was that he came in and got a holding penalty on one of, I'm pretty sure it was Chase Claypool. Yeah, Chase. Chase is
a long run by him. Came back.
His long run that came back. Basically, he got taken off the field after that. He did get his catch after that, actually, but still, like, it felt like that's kind of what kept him off the field. Less Ray McLeod this week, though, which was nice.
Mm-hmm. A lot of heavier personnel, it felt like.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt like they were more engaged for the running game for most of the time.
Do you want to talk defense, or do you want to get to that fiasco with the special teams that led to the reason the Steelers had 15 points and not 17?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Okay, let me add some context to this first. So I had gotten up to use the bathroom, and I was using my phone to cast. So I left it downstairs because I didn't want to just take it. And when I came back, I saw like a replay of Boswell like running around, and I was like, huh, that's weird. They had an aborted snap or something. And I saw he got drilled. I was like, dang, that sucks. It looks like he's hurt. I'm like, what happened? Like, bad snap? Was the hold messed up? Did, what caused the timing to be off? And then I realized it was like an actual fake. And in that situation, a 3-3 game, late in the first half, kicking the field goal there. And you know what's funny? We've given Mike Tomlin so much shit on this podcast, Austin, especially the last couple of years, for living in his fears when he always says that he doesn't. And you know what? Let me give the guy credit first for actually going for it on a 4th and 1 near midfield later in the game, with Najee Harrison getting it, when in times past, including the last time they played the Browns on a 4th and 1, they punted it away. Now that I've given him the credit, what in the ever-loving Christ was he doing calling a fake field goal in that situation when they get the ball to start the second half and could have gone up? Yes, I understand maybe you want the touchdown there because you're on the road and you're an underdog, but if you take the points there, you have an opportunity to go up 10 coming out of the second half. I just don't understand that. Now, if the roles were reversed and the Browns get the ball back and your defense has been bending and really struggling and you feel like they're just hanging on, maybe you try that. Maybe. I hated the call. And, of course, the Browns were not fooled at all. Give a lot of credit to their special teams unit for being ready for it. And Boswell got destroyed, and it absolutely should have been a penalty. We've seen far less plays be called for roughing the passer. And by the letter of the law, that's roughing the passer. He got hit in the head, and his helmet came off partially. I didn't see this until later in the game on another replay. His helmet came partially off, so when he hit the ground, it wasn't as padded and secured as it should have been. So he suffered what appears to be a concussion and did not come back. And obviously we'll get to the impacts it had on the kicking game later, but I mean, just bad all-around decision from the Steelers coaching staff, and I do not understand it, and it should have been quite costly, and it was costly. I mean, it got his kicker injured.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand. Like, I guess they thought, well, Mike Tomlin blamed on execution. He said, yeah, that was supposed to work, but we just didn't execute correctly.
Execution. There were three guys on 2 receivers. That's I don't care how you can't execute that any better. They had it beat.
Yeah, the Browns just read it. I that's why I don't get it. It's like we executed it poorly. Like, no, you called a bad play. It was a bad decision. It was stupid. It luckily didn't result in a loss, but like, if Boswell isn't here next week, we're going to feel it. It's going to suck. And then also, like, it really compromised the rest of the game. I was so scared that Boswell would be injured because it's like, I remember the season where Boswell was bad. That instability was just so upsetting and annoying, and it was just like, there are teams that are still looking for kickers in the NFL. The Panthers keep trying. The Chargers are just switched their kicker from the Vincenzo guy. It's just, Matthew Wright is now with the Jaguars. The Jaguars had to try a few people. Like, it's just a tough life, and with our offense, I was like, we can't live without a kicker. We need Chris Boswell. We need to be a team with stability at kicker, and luckily it was just a concussion, but it still might keep him out of the next game. But yeah, the play call, stupid. Execution, as good as it could be. It was just a bad. Like, I just don't. If you're going to be aggressive, just keep your offense on the field for that. I don't really know why.
And it's funny because we wouldn't say that about this offense almost ever, but as bad as this offense has been, I mean, come on. That you drafted the first round running back, the second round tight end, the third round lineman. Go get it. And they even did it later in this game and picked up a first down. I mean, come on.
Yeah, like, if you want to be aggressive, like, commit to it. They must have saw something that they thought they would be able to take advantage of with the Browns, and they big brained it, they galaxy brained it, and it was just not what they thought it was there, and it wasn't. Like, I just don't know. I don't agree with the call. You do have to go with your gut sometimes, and as you said, like, we've given Mike Tomlin so much shit for living in his fears, but like, this was not living in his fears for sure. He said, I don't care. He said, I'm not scared. I'm gonna have my kicker throw it. But like, don't live in your fears a different way. Don't live in your fears by keeping your offense on the field and going for it. That would still be not living in your fears. I could at least be, if they didn't get it, like, okay, well, at least it was. I honestly, I'd still probably be mad because of the way the game was going, where the defense was shut out and then you were getting the ball at half. So, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of that call. The Steelers could have been up 6-3, getting the ball back after the half. Could have possibly made it 9-3 or even 13-3, and you would have had your kicker for the rest of the game. So that would have changed things as well. But
are we being too hypocritical?
Maybe we are.
I understand that results bias does play a part into it, and I don't want to ignore that. But at the same time, if that play, to me, I still think that the risk outweighs the reward. I understand that you get the touchdown there, but to me, a touchdown there wasn't a have to have it. Yes, you'd love the touchdown, of course, but going up 6-3 at halftime feels like a major win for that half, given the way, everyone was thinking that was going to play out.
Maybe that's why they did it. Maybe they're like, the Browns will never expect it because they know we're going to need to take any points we can. I don't know. Maybe that's what played into it.
It was a 100%er, just like Pat McAfee, until Polomalu went in the C-gap.
We're kicking
Polomalu. We are kick. Yeah, someone should have been able to cancel that, but yeah. So the Steelers had no kicker for the entire second half and the end of the first half, and well, it was reported that Presley Harvin, the Steelers punter, had no experience in college or the pros kicking field goals, and I wasn't sure if they talked about it on the broadcast. Maybe he had done it in high school, but the Steelers clearly did not feel comfortable with even trying, because remember, a point after attempt in the NFL is a 33-yarder. For a guy that's not experienced in doing that, that's an issue. And apparently Ben Roethlisberger was also the backup holder, which I don't know why he would be. Get literally anyone else to do it, but besides a long snapper. Get literally anybody else to do it. I don't know why you would have your quarterback do that, get the backup to do it. But, I mean, for whatever reason, that was the case, so they decided to not have a kicking game. So they just went for it on 2-point conversions, which they attempted twice and failed twice. And on kickoffs, even Presley Harvin was not great at that either, which apparently he's not very experienced doing that. I guess he didn't do that at Georgia Tech very much because his first kick went out of bounds. Now, he did have a better kickoff the second time, but very, very tumultuous kicking situation, and luckily for the Steelers, it did not bite them in the butt.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't. I shout out to Justin Lane and Miles Killebrew for playing pretty good on special teams in this game. Justin Lane really came up pretty big in this game. I give Justin Lane a lot of shit normally, but he recovered a Ray McLeod fumble. He played really well to get the tackle on that short kickoff Harvin had, which, again, I can't blame Harvin for having the short kickoff. I will blame him for having that short punt later in the game because that's his job, but I think that Miles Killebrew and Justin Lane did a good job on tackling. Really, just the tackling on special teams was pretty good.
Very good game today.
Yeah.
Yeah, how about, what was I going to say? You know who wasn't very good on special teams, though?
Benny Snell, football.
Yeah, shall we get into the weekly Benny Snell ripping?
Of course.
Tee off, man. It's all you.
Benny Snell got away with
Football.
one in this game. I was mostly mad at the referees for the most of the game because I thought that there was a little bit of bias towards the Browns. Not like they were being paid off or anything. It just felt like the calls were going a lot more in the Browns' way. But one of the plays that did not go the Browns' way was Benny Snell running into a returner that was calling for the fair catch. Somehow did not get penalized. He knew he did it, even if it was by accident. It's just, he's so not smart. I mean, again, how much could I get mad about this specific play when it didn't get called? I just think it was really lucky. Usually the refs are not that nice where it's like, even if it's an accident, they don't allow it. It wasn't necessarily, I mean, it was obviously an accident. Snell didn't want to light him up on purpose. He ran into him by accident.
I think he tripped.
Yeah, but like, usually the refs don't give you that. And he's just not doing anything good. It's the weekly me asking for the Steelers to make him inactive. Likely won't be going forward because if Balaj is injured, he's definitely getting a hat. So, I mean, there's nothing they could really do, but I'm still sad.
Yeah, 4 active running backs this week.
Yeah, that is also stupid. I don't understand that. Two tight ends. Two tight ends, but four running backs. And it's really funny because you see that Steelers game script was heavy. They ran a lot of the tight end sets, and they were like, we're just going to go with two tight ends. We're not going to elevate Kevin Rader for this game. We're not going to make Zach Banner active for the heavy sets. No, what we need is just we need four running backs.
Maybe they saw the future because of Balaj getting hurt. I didn't feel like Watt played a lot until the end either. Derek Watt, that is.
Yeah, Derek Watt didn't really play a lot either. Yeah.
Very interesting usage as far as the offensive personnel. But, Benny Snell's, calling card has been power running, short yardage runner, and special teams player, right? Well, obviously, anytime he has the ball in his hands, he has been terrible this year, and really for most of his career. His calling card of special teams, similar to, I remember Darius Hayward-Bay was a really solid special teamer, and Benny Snell has been for most of his career. And then there was one year that Darius Hayward-Bay, I believe it was 2018, just became a terrible special teams player. Took like 5 penalties that year, and the next year he was gone. He was retired, done, over with. And, well, Benny Snell had penalties in back-to-back games the last couple weeks and should have been flagged this time. I'm tired of hearing about how special teams matters, and then when people make blatant errors consistently, and in this case make errors that should have been called and frankly should have had 3 straight games with a penalty, I'm tired of hearing about how he's an asset on special teams when he's actively hurting the special teams unit.
Yeah, if he's an asset on special teams, he could go be an asset in Green Bay or Arizona that needs a special teams running back. So I don't believe what is being defined as an asset here is good for the team.
And we already know he's hurting the offense when he's on the field.
Yeah, today he got
had one good play. One play.
Yeah, so I can't take that away from him. I mean, how good was it? He almost got the first down. It was 4th down. After his play, but he gained 7 yards. He did the best he could do.
Technically a successful play. He's had, 2 good plays this season?
That's about it, yeah. And I mean, he's had more than... He has had the same amount of drops as good plays.
He has caught... That was his first catch on the year. He has caught 1 pass. He's dropped 2. He has 8 rushes for 21 yards.
And then how many penalties? About 3.
Well, he had 2 in back-to-back weeks. Should have had a 3rd this week. So
okay, so he has 2.
You tell me how good he is.
I think he's great.
Benny
Centerpiece.
Snell football. TM.
Benny Snell football.
TM.
Hell yeah.
Any other thoughts on special teams here? Ray McLeod, the fumble, ugly. I believe that's his first fumble of the year. Has been playing well as a punt returner and kick returner, but that was quite scary.
Yeah, McLeod is so frustrating. Because on one hand, he's like the best returner we've seen since Antonio Brown, but he's so hit or miss. It hurts. It's painful because like sometimes he like takes out a really bad ball or he fumbles like that or something, but then he has like a return of 40 yards, and it's like, oh, okay, but that's kind of cool. I don't... Ray McLeod hurts me.
Oh, jeez. That sounds sad.
Yeah, it is sad. Just watching him pains me because I want him to just be a good special teams player, but he's so hit or miss. But like when he's good, but just when he's bad, he's so bad. I don't know what to feel.
Defensively for Pittsburgh, 10 points against, 306 yards, 3 of 10 on 3rd down on the day, 1 for 2 in the red zone. I have a tough time saying it was a great performance, and I'll say it for 2 reasons, Austin. And you can criticize me probably fairly. One being a bigger reason than the other. Number 1, only 1 turnover. Number 2, more importantly, the Browns pulled a 2020 Pittsburgh Steelers and just dropped a ton of passes. Namely one, Jarvis Landry, who I believe dropped 4 passes in this game. And again, they weren't all easily catchable passes, but for the names that these guys have, you'd think that they would have performed better in this one, and they had yardage on these plays.
Yeah, I think that the Browns' offense definitely was better than what they showed on the stat sheet because, as you said, like they had drops. They had, from what I remember, Jarvis Landry had one. From otherwise, Higgins had two. Felton had one, and that's at least 4 drops that I remember. My memory is not that good, so I believe that there's probably more than that I'm forgetting in between here, but. So they did it did help the defense get bailed out a few times with those drops, and I mean, just Jarvis Landry just sucked. Jarvis Landry did not have a good day. He obviously had the fumble that was key to the Steelers winning, forced by Joe Schobert and recovered by T.J. Watt. Something I meant to do was go back and see why T.J. Watt was even over there. That was incredible to me. I was like waiting to see who recovered the fumble. Like I knew it was a Steeler, but I was like, why is T.J. Watt over here? I guess he was dropped into coverage or something, but like that's like it was on the right side of the field, like the completely opposite side of where he plays. So I was I was surprised to see T.J. Watt coming up out of that pile with the football, but yeah, as a whole, the Browns' offense did help. Something I didn't like coming out of this game is there's a lot of blame being put on Baker Mayfield, but I just didn't feel like Baker Mayfield was that bad in this game. Like I thought Baker Mayfield played fine. He's played like he always does.
I felt like he played about, maybe just a touch above Ben Roethlisberger in this one, which is, like, he didn't lose this game. He didn't obviously win it, but, given the shoulder injury, I think he played about as well as I would have expected him to. I thought he played well.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he's playing through injury and he's just playing, like, he's playing okay, like, that's pretty solid. Like, I don't know. People are putting a lot of the loss on him. People are saying that he missed throws. I don't really remember missed throws. I remember drops. But
they lost Jack Conklin in this one too, by the way.
They did lose Jack Conklin to an elbow injury. That was tough. I didn't think he was going to play, honestly. So I mean, kind of went in with that. They were
might
really
be gone for the season too. I think is what I've been seeing.
I mean, they should definitely shut him down with all the injuries he has for at least the next 3 weeks, if it's not season ending. But yeah, there's a good chance, and they're really kind of tied up there. They had to put in Hance at right tackle after that, and Hance himself was banged up, and Chris Hubbard's already on
for the year.
Yeah, like it's just they're in a really bad spot. I guess they could sign Mitchell Schwartz though. Didn't Mitchell Schwartz start with Cleveland, or am I confusing with the other Kansas City?
I think you're thinking of someone else. Yeah. Aren't you thinking of Cam Irving?
Maybe. I just typed in Anthony Schwartz. What? That's their wide receiver. Why can't I think of this guy's actual name? Mitchell. His name is Mitchell Schwartz. I could have sworn he started. No, yeah, I was right. Mitchell Schwartz started with the Browns. He was 2012 to 2015. Yeah, so I feel like that makes a lot of sense if they were to call up Mitchell Schwartz to come back to their team.
To be fair, Cam Irving did the same thing. He started with Cleveland and went to Kansas City.
That is true. You weren't wrong.
Yeah, I think the biggest part of this defensive performance is about the running game for Cleveland. The top-ranked rushing offense in the league, averaging 170 per game. What did they finish with, Austin? Just 96. And I know that they technically finished with a good yards per carry clip, but Nick Chubb was what? The running back runs were a total of just 7 for 22 on successful run rates. That's rounded up to 32%. So the defense did a really good job stopping the run in this one, even if the stats don't look great. They did a good job in this one. Nick Chubb, I think, had a 21-yard run and then I think a 16-yard run, but besides that was really quiet. Diante Johnson had one good running play. It was his touchdown, which, my God, Devin Bush looked terrible on. But outside of, I think, those 3 plays, I think the run defense was very solid, especially considering how many pieces this defensive front has been missing and how bad they looked against the Seahawks last week. It's clear that the bye week and this week leading up to this game was focused on stopping the run, and give Keith Butler and Mike Tomlin and the Steelers coaching staff and players, of course, a lot of credit for what they've done.
Yeah, this was really good. I mean, holding this run offense to as little as it did, the successful run rates. Nick Chubb only had 6. I'm pretty sure 6 of his 16 carries were successful. That was it. As a whole, they had 7 with Jarvis Land. Oh no, that doesn't make sense.
Diante Johnson's touchdown.
Jarvis Landry should have been successful too because he got a first down off of it.
These are just the
running back
runs.
That keeps throwing me off. When I think of successful run rate, I'm kind of putting it all together.
I mean, we can do that. I've traditionally been doing it with the running backs just because it's easier to keep track of, for me anyways, but I'm certainly okay with doing it as a bigger whole.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, as a whole, the defense did a really good job. Again, shout out Chris Wormley. I thought Chris Wormley had a really, really good game here. I thought that he played well. Cameron Hayward has continued to play extremely well. I'm pretty sure he graded with PFF as the highest graded run stopper on the team. TJ Watt continues to be a pretty good player against both the pass and the run, so he's
pretty
doing good. Yeah, pretty good, solid, decent. We'll keep him, hold him around.
Decent.
Some trailer park boys for you all out there, but yeah, I think as a whole, I was pretty happy with the defensive line. Linebackers hit or miss, so I was happy with Joe Schober, but
led the team in tackles. Give that guy I'm sure that guy was circled this one.
Yeah, I mean, he played really well in a revenge game. I mean, he forced that fumble, which was huge. I mean, him being out on Jarvis Landry already sucked. Also, that's something I'm mad about. TJ Watt was lined up on Jarvis Landry one play and immediately obviously went to Jarvis Landry for a catch. I was really annoyed by that because I just don't understand how it happens. How do you get TJ Watt on Jarvis Landry? How? I might call him overrated in that he's an alright guy, but even an alright receiver is going to beat an edge rusher, a linebacker. Like Chase, it's like when Chase Claypool beat Von Miller. It's Von Miller. Why you have these linebackers, these pass rushing linebackers, out on wide receivers? I do not get it.
Can I offer a little bit of an explanation? At least
yes,
what
I would like some.
You remember? So I will say this hasn't happened very often this year, right? Feels like it's been something that hasn't happened like it used to.
Yeah, no, this year's has been better as a whole.
Even last year at times, but there was one game where it crept up again. Do you remember which game it was?
Last year.
It was the playoff game.
Yes.
Robert Spillane on Jarvis Landry.
Heck yeah.
So the big reason for that, I think, is because we knew for years this team struggled to defend empty sets. And they kind of fixed it a little bit, but where they got burned against Cleveland was they got burned in their base defense because the Browns would come out in heavy personnel. So that means you can't rush you can't rush 5. You have to only rush 4, which means that you're going to be dropping an edge rusher into coverage or a defensive lineman. So that means one of those guys is going to be in coverage, and for whatever reason, this team prefers to keep its schematic advantage rather than a personnel advantage. So rather than, have their guys go man on man in those situations, like you'd rather have TJ Watt on a running back rather than a receiver. This team refuses to do that, at least in some situations. So that's how that happened, I believe.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. I guess
it's stupid, but I believe that's why.
Yeah, I guess it's the best. Yeah, at least it's an explanation, I suppose. Yeah, but obviously it didn't cost the Steelers the game anyway. It wasn't the biggest deal. It just always hurts me seeing those kind of matchups.
Isaiah Loudermilk got a sack in this one. I don't remember that.
I'm pretty sure that was... I'm trying to think, because when a quarterback runs out of bounds for negative yardage...
Yes, that is a sack.
Then I think that's where it came from, because obviously Baker Mayfield had that one run where he tried getting all the way out to the edge and wasn't able to. I think that's where it came from, because otherwise I really don't know where that sack was, because obviously he didn't combine for it, or unless he combined for 2. I'm pretty sure he got it on his own, though. I'm pretty sure he was just the closest defender when Baker Mayfield ran out of bounds. Like when Cameron... No, oh God, I'm so messed up with Cortland and Cameron as a lead. I don't know. The Broncos game really messed me up. When Cameron Sutton got that sack in that one game because he was the closest defender, I'm pretty sure that's how it happened.
Cameron Sutton had a nice play in this one, by the way, in the backfield.
Yeah, he did. Good tackle.
Terrell Edmonds was fine. Devin Bush had a couple bad plays, but I thought overall was okay. Joe Schobert was great. Mollett was good. Micah Fitzpatrick, I felt like this was one of his better games of the season, and he didn't come up with a turnover again, but this was I felt like this was more like the traditional guy we were used to seeing.
Yeah, he did fine in coverage. He did have his warranted missed tackle in this game, or bad tackle, but other than that, yeah, he was pretty solid. He was pretty solid in coverage.
And what about Devin Bush? What do you think about him?
Yeah.
Mixed bag today.
Mixed bag. Yeah, that touchdown was really bad. I obviously at first was really mad at both him and Minka, and then I was like, wait. On the replay, I was like, Minka was ready to make the tackle if it bounced outside, and Devin Bush was supposed to contain the inside cut, and Devin Bush was like, let me just run into Minka Fitzpatrick really quick, even though Devin Bush just showed a really poor understanding of where the defense would be. He didn't know Minka was going to be there, so he really committed to the outside and then let Diante Johnson come in and gave up the touchdown. So it looks bad, but yeah, Devin Bush was just like, he was all right. It wasn't completely bad for the day. Meh.
Overall, when you give up 10 points, it's a good day, and I know that there was hidden yardage with drops, but they did their job. They got pressure consistently. T.J. Watt is up to, 7.5 sacks on the year?
Yep, missing a game and a half.
That guy should... every year he's gotten more sacks in a season. I think he's pacing, 18?
Something like that. I mean...
18.7 according to ESPN, which is obviously not attainable, so we'll just call that 18.5.
Yeah. That seems about right. Yeah, hopefully he gets there. He'll still lose Defensive Player of the Year somehow.
Any other thoughts about this one? Obviously, style points notwithstanding, this was a huge win.
Yeah. I mean, it would feel a lot worse if we were at the bottom of the division of the AFC North. Now the Browns are back where they belong at the bottom of the AFC North, and the Steelers have some hope. I still hold. I want to put it out there now. We are not losing to Baltimore this year. It's not happening. We're sweeping them, beating them twice. We might lose to Cincinnati twice. We might lose to Browns the next time. We're not losing to Baltimore this year. No way. Absolutely not. That team is...
What makes you think that? The injuries?
They're injured, and I have not seen them do anything against the Steelers defense yet. And this might be one of the best Steelers defenses that they're going to have to see. So, I'm calling that Baltimore is getting swept. I'm more worried about Cincinnati and Cleveland clawing back after they get a second shot. It's really bad. Like, I literally... Because if the playoffs ended today, the Steelers would be the 6 seed and Baltimore would be the 3 seed. And I was like, that is my ideal playoffs. You don't have to see the Chargers. You don't have to see Cleveland. The Titans, I guess, I'd actually probably rather see the Titans. Derrick Henry's scary, but I'd rather see them. But Titans, I think, currently hold the 1 seed. But I was like, this would be ideal for me. I want to see Baltimore in the playoffs when we get there. If we get there, I should say.
The last time Pittsburgh played Lamar Jackson, the Ravens ran for 265 yards. Are you sure about that?
Yep. Because he also turned over the ball 3 times, didn't he?
I believe so, yeah. At least I know for sure the 2, the fumble and the pick 6.
Yes, sir. There's no other team I'd rather verse in the AFC if the Steelers make to the playoffs. It's Baltimore.
Okay. Things are definitely looking up for the Steelers. You know, I will say, if they would have lost, I'd have almost preferred that they have lost by 10 points like the Packers game, just because you hate to drop games that feel winnable, and for most of this game it obviously felt winnable, and the fact that they won it was huge. They got themselves back in it, and now they've got themselves set up with 2 games against 2 not-so-good teams in Chicago and Detroit and Pittsburgh, Austin, and let's not take them for granted. They're
one
still
of these
NFL
is going to be
teams.
A loss. Yeah, one of these is guaranteed to be a loss.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised at all if it happens, but if Pittsburgh does come out of this winning their next 2 games, they'll be 6-3 heading into their death stretch. And, it doesn't look good. It's a tough part of the year at the end. But in their last 8 games, if they win these next 2 weeks, all they have to do is go 4-4 to get to 10 wins.
And 2 of those wins are going to come against Baltimore, baby. It don't matter. Let's go.
So bottom line... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying I'm going to keep manifesting it until it happens. Steelers are going to sweep Baltimore this year, and it's not even going to be an issue.
So with that in mind, Steelers improving to 4-3. Shall we go over whatever happened throughout the NFL this past week? Obviously, Sunday Night Football still being played as we speak, having
not
to change
much
up
longer,
our recording
though.
times. Yeah, it's
1 minute, 4 seconds with Cooper Rush driving the ball down the field. Elite.
All right, let's get into it, starting with that Thursday night game. Didn't expect the Packers to be able to come out with that one with a win. Kyler Murray gets hurt, and the Cardinals lose, so the 72 Dolphins pop the champagne once again.
Pain, nothing but pain. Kyler Murray has an ankle sprain. He's out at least 1 week, and likely it's looking at 1 to 3, so pain. I mean, the Cardinals are still pretty set. They have the Rams on their tail, which does kind of suck, but they're not really in danger of missing the playoffs, even without Murray for a few weeks.
Want to hear something wild?
What?
Hold on, let me find this number right here. Here we go. Which quarterback had which number? Quarterback one had or actually, let me ask you, rephrase it. Quarterback 1 had a completed air yards average of 2.2 yards, and quarterback B had a completed air yards average of 4.1 this week. One of those quarterbacks is Ben Roethlisberger. Which one was he?
Well, this is cheating because I know this because I saw the passing chart. Aaron Rodgers is 2.2. I saw the passing chart that he had. Yeah. It was really gross.
Can you believe that? Can you believe that they still put up those numbers with such a terrible completed air yards distance?
Yeah, I mean, incredible. Incredible. To be fair, the Cardinals probably should have won it, but the fact that they were able to put up 24 when they're throwing passes like that, it's pretty good that they were able to claw their way down the field. Paper cuts.
How mad are you still?
About that game?
The AJ Green thing.
I'm over it. I couldn't win this week in fantasy regardless of that, so I'm more mad that now Kyler Murray got hurt.
The Panthers get off the schneid, beating the Falcons in Atlanta 19-13. Apparently Sam Darnold got hurt, but I got nothing to say about it.
Yeah, I didn't watch this game. Cordero Patterson just continues to get touchdowns. They call him Scordero in the streets.
The Bills messed up my pick. I was looking really good with that pick for a while. I was watching this game a lot, too, during the Steeler game. And I talked to Justin, who we've had on the podcast a bunch of times, and he has season tickets for the Bills game. And now, granted, he lives in Pittsburgh, Austin, so let me add that context. So coming up to Buffalo for 8 weekends in a fall doesn't seem super appealing, but he said the way the Bills were playing in the first half was making him consider selling the rest of the tickets until the playoffs. So, yeah, it was ugly. The Bills had, I think, 3 first downs in the first half, but were able to pull away in the second half.
Yeah, backdoor cover. I just barely got that right. Dallas scored, by the way. Dallas is up 20-16.
Yep, Cooper to Cooper for the lead with 46 seconds to go, as I'm seeing, and the Vikings just got a first down out of bounds.
Big sad.
So they need a touchdown, though.
Yeah, big sad. Always go with your gut, kids. I took Amari Cooper out of my lineup because I was like, I do not trust Cooper Rush. I then put in David Johnson instead. So, always go with your gut, children.
Devil's advocate, Austin. Don't go with your gut. I had Terry McLaurin in my lineup, and I swapped him for Emmanuel Sanders this morning. And yes, Terry McLaurin didn't do much today, but Emmanuel Sanders got a donut. Don't trust your gut, kids.
Don't Don't do anything. Just
do nothing.
Just sit there.
Just sit there
and think about what
it.
you do.
And whatever you do, if it's wrong, just never do that again. Until the next time.
I agree.
Where were we here? 49ers and Bears. I gotta be honest, I didn't see much of any of the early games because actually I didn't see much of anything at all outside of the Steelers and Bills games. But looks like the Bears' offensive experiment with Justin Fields is just hurting this team. I wonder if Fields' development is being hurt by how bad this offense is.
Yeah, I don't know. Fields had that one good week where I was like, against the Raiders, I was like, oh wow, he looks kind of serviceable. I'm surprised. And then he just hasn't looked good since, so I'm not sure. There was 3 quarterback rushing touchdowns in this game, though, which was cool. Jimmy Garoppolo actually had 2 of them, and Justin Fields had the other, obviously, so that was interesting.
I can guarantee you nobody bet that.
Yeah, no, I don't. I think if there was like a prop bet who gets more rushing touchdowns, I'm pretty sure everyone bet the house on Justin Fields, too. But Jimmy Garoppolo's got those wheels.
The biggest surprising result for me of the weekend was just how badly the Eagles spanked Detroit. I thought this could be a position for Detroit to get their first win of the year, but at 0-8 now, losing by 38 points, I'm starting to wonder if they might be putting in a bid for a winless season again.
It's so tough to call with the Lions. I really thought that this would be the point where that they get their win. That this felt like the game where they were able to finally compete and get it all together. They had shown some life against the Rams. They were really good against the 49ers the first game of the season. They've shown life and they've been competitive, and then they got blown out by the Bengals 2 weeks ago before the Rams game. And then they just got beat up on by the Eagles, and I don't even really know how it happened, if I'm being honest. I'm pretty sure Jalen Hurts finished the game without a touchdown, and they won 44-6. I didn't see any of this game. Literally, Jalen Hurts threw the ball 14 times. What? Did they just rush all over them?
46 for 236, so yes.
Oh my lord. Yeah, they just rushed all over them. Oh man, that's gotta be disappointing.
David Blau, 1 drop back, no passes, 1 sack. QBR of 0.1.
Hey, he got a 6-yard rush, okay? Leave him alone.
I'm sorry.
He's a running back. Now, yeah, that's just bad. And I think Jamal Williams is hurt for the Lions, so that sucks on top
because they don't have enough injuries already.
Yeah, no, they're using Godwin Igwebuike, safety legend turned running back, who now has got some of his first real carries and catches of the year.
By the way, what was I gonna say? Oh, shoot! I'm noticing this. It's coming down to a 4th and 6 for the Vikings. This is the game. Time has expired. Man, then he threw it out of bounds.
Really? On 4th and 6?
Yeah. Now Cousins had pressure up the middle like immediately. Like he touched the ball and there was a player in front of him.
Captain Kirk. Back to elite.
Sorry, got distracted there. Let me get back to this game. My God, poor Detroit. Someone get Dan Campbell a win, and then they can lose to the rest.
Just not against us. Just not. I don't want. It's really gonna. That's what's gonna happen, isn't it? It's gonna be Detroit loses next week, and then when we get to go see them, they're gonna win. We're gonna beat the heck out of the Bears, and it's like, wow, a actual good win against a not so good team, but a good win, and then we're gonna get smacked by the Lions and lose like 24-14.
And it's gonna be one of those games where we put up like 450 total yards, but turn it over like 4 times.
Yep. I'm ready for it. We're prepared.
Oh, I remember what I was going to say. The real best rushing threat at quarterback in the NFL has actually Ben Roethlisberger. Talk about a 2-point conversion play. I have not been mad at many penalties this year, more than I was mad at the holding penalty on what should have been that 2-point conversion I will save that video and have it made up into a GIF, and it will stay atop our Twitter profile for pretty much indefinitely. Once I get it done.
Sucks so bad. I was so hyped seeing that play. And Brett Roethlisberger, that was the fifth option. Like, I tried everything else. I was like, all right, I gotta run it. And Kendrick Green didn't even have to hold. It hurt so bad because he was already in the end zone. Tony Romo was commenting like, that's like a play that like I don't really understand. He's already in the end zone. How are you gonna call that a hold? I guess that's the rules. And it was the rules. Kendrick Green did hold. I'm not mad about the refs calling that because that was definitely the right call, but I'm just so mad because Kendrick Green didn't have to do it. It was such a great play. But Ben with the wheels diving for it.
Creed Humphrey wouldn't have held. Just saying.
Creed Humphrey wouldn't have held. It's true.
Let's get back on task here. The Titans take full control of the AFC South, narrowly beating the Indianapolis Colts in overtime, despite a very poor day by his standards from Derrick Henry, just 68 rushing yards on the day. Tannehill leads the Titans to a big win in the AFC South, and now, even though it was pretty clear that it was their division to lose, now it's really true.
Yeah, both quarterbacks were really bad in this game. Carson Wentz just made really stupid decisions, but they just weren't good. Derrick Henry was banged up, to be fair to Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry got hurt in this game, and then he was questionable to return at one point, and he came back in. I think he just got like a little ankle injury, so...
I don't believe it. He's a cyborg. He doesn't get hurt.
It's true. He doesn't get hurt. He just
needed oil. Get that guy some WD-40.
Yeah, that's what they did. Then they put him back out there, and then he was vibing. But yeah, no, Carson Wentz really looked like he wanted to lose this game.
And he did.
End. And he did. He did. Yeah. Had the Colt this would be I'm pretty sure I forget who does it. It might be Damashek who does the NFL what ifs. This is like a defining game for what if in the universe. Because if the Colts win this game, they have a path to win the division pretty clearly. I think I talked about this last week, but when we were making this pick, but the Colts have the Jaguars and Jets next. With I don't know, Bunny Mike White might wipe the floor with the Colts. I'm not sure, but before that, it looked like a really easy set of 2 wins, and the Titans had the Rams, and then I think they had the Giants, which the Giants aren't a problem, but it gave the Colts a path there, and the Colts had a much easier schedule. We'll never know what will happen because now the Titans are almost all basically guaranteed to win this division with 2 wins over the Colts. The Colts are now like 3.5 games back, technically. So I don't think we're ever going to see that, but it would have been interesting had the Colts won it.
Indeed, and speaking of Mike White, he leads the New York Jets to a 34-31 victory over the Cincinnati Bengals, throwing for 405 yards and 3 TDs, just like all of America expected him to do. Right?
Money Mike White. That was so fun. Shout out to them doing that, getting the upset over the Bengals. It helps the Steelers out. Helps the Ravens out more, but helps the Steelers get back in it when we get to see Cincinnati a little bit later again. So that was nice. Yeah, honestly, it was just a pretty good game. The Jets gave it their all. Mike White wasn't perfect. He threw 2 picks. The defense did help him a little bit after one of those picks to keep it. Yeah, I mean, the defense didn't do too great. They gave up 31. But overall, just a really solid game from the Jets. And, I mean, there legitimately might be quarterback controversy. He looked better than Zach Wilson. I mean, Zach Wilson's so young that you can't do that to him. Right now, they just used the 2nd overall pick, but Mike White showed more in the past 2 weeks than I've seen from Zach Wilson so far. So, might be something.
At the very least, he could be trade bait this offseason.
White for sure. Yeah. Well, one of them.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Some team might want to take a flyer on him.
Where else? The Rams cleaned the Texans, but the Texans almost got a backdoor plus the points there because they put up 22 points unanswered in the final quarter just to make it nervous. But obviously the Rams were far superior.
Yeah, that would have made our already bad week so bad. I think so far we have combined 6 correct picks this week altogether. Both got the Rams. One for the Seahawks for me. One for the Broncos for you. One for the Saints. Two for the Cowboys. So we have 7. We got seven correct picks between the two of us. Oh, 9. Panthers and Bills. I didn't scroll up.
Gotcha. Patriots and Chargers was a surprising one to me. The Chargers, man, they looked really good early this year, but we said maybe there's, the only way the Chiefs get back in it is if the Chargers open the door. Well, the Chargers have unlocked and opened the door. Now it's up to the Chiefs to walk through it, or I guess in that, if we want to be technical, the Broncos or the Raiders too, because the Broncos are 4-4 as well, and the Raiders are 5-2, and leading the division, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Raiders lead the division. They're the second overall seed still.
Chargers are, I don't know, they're not looking good right now.
I'm so sad. Both the teams I thought would be so good, the football team and them, are just not. They're not coming through. I think I was so high on them because they beat the Chiefs, but the Chiefs just look like dog poopy currently. So I don't think that win was as big as I originally had thought it was. But oh well, I guess.
Jacksonville Jaguars getting thumped by the Seahawks. Geno Smith looking pretty solid in this one, and Trevor Lawrence completed 32 passes for 238 yards.
Yeah, I didn't watch any of this game, so I have nothing to say.
Denver beat Washington 17-10. I literally saw nothing about this game. I didn't even realize it happened today.
Yeah, I heard it wasn't that good of a game. I heard it was really boring. I didn't see anything of it either.
Our NFC Super Bowl representative is 2-6. Maybe we aren't so good at this.
I'm gonna lose $20 on them, and it stings. $20 and a draft pick in fantasy football.
They really could actually use Ryan Fitzpatrick back.
Yeah, I think it might help them a little bit.
Terry McLaurin is just not being utilized.
It's hard. It's hard out in these parts. Yeah. Oh, wow. Why did Jared Patterson get the ball? Did Gibson get injured?
Not sure.
That's so cool, though. I love Jared Patterson in this story. I'm so glad. No offense to Antonio Gibson, but yeah, he was the lead back.
He played well, too.
Yeah, 11 for 46. It's over 4 yards a tote. Nice. Wonder what happened. I'm going to have to look up what happened to Antonio Gibson.
The New Orleans Saints put up 36 in a win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a pick 6 to cap it off. But it is not a victory without some bad news. It looks like Jameis Winston might be out for the season, feared to have a torn ACL. But the Saints are 5-2 and just a half game back of the Buccaneers with a game in hand.
Yeah. I mean, this was a big win. I'm surprised they pulled it out, especially after Jameis Winston went down. But huge win for them. Brady played really bad, honestly. Yeah, just big win for the Saints. It's Simeon season.
Yeah. Taysom Hill has been hurt too.
I didn't even know Taysom Hill was hurt.
I think he played this week, but I think he had a concussion last week.
I wonder who they go with going forward. If they'll stick in the $22 million man of Taysom Hill.
R.I.P. Tamus, 2021 to 2021.
Rip.
I'm seeing on NFL.com, Washington football team, all that's listed is Eric Flowers left with a leg injury and did not return.
Okay. Interesting.
Last game of the week, we just talked a little bit about it as it was going on. The Cowboys beat the Vikings 20-16. Relatively entertaining game. Cooper Rush off the bench for the Cowboys. And, well, I shouldn't say off the bench. He technically started, but it was a surprise start. And he played well. Sadly, not Garrett Gilbert this time, but Cooper Rush played well. The Vikings are 3-4. The NFC North is the Packers division to lose, and frankly, the East is the Cowboys division to lose.
Yep. It just be like that. The East doesn't look like it's ever improving. Looks like the Cowboys are the only team that have improved. The Giants look bad. Football team
just by virtue of their quarterback being healthy too.
Yeah, literally, that's all they needed. Tough. I think the Vikings have a shot at challenging the Packers. They have a small shot still.
Gotta sweep them though.
Yeah, you do have to sweep them because You're 3-4, and the Packers are what? Have 2 losses? No, they're only 1 loss. They're 7-1.
Nope,
aren't they?
just one. Just that week 1 loss to New Orleans.
Yeah, that makes it tough. In my head, I was like, oh yeah, Green Bay's got 2 losses, but they don't.
All right. Well, any further thoughts here before we get back to our preview next week?
No, I don't think so. Just Benny Snell sucks.
Well, in the meantime, thank you as always for listening to the Stronger Than Steel podcast with John Keir and Austin Davidson. If you have any questions about the show, please feel free to email us at strongerthansteelpodcast@gmail.com. And you can find our episodes posted on YouTube under the name Stronger Than Steel Podcast and on our new home at anchor.fm/strongerthansteel. Until Saturday, Austin, thank you as always for joining me on the podcast and talking Steelers' victory over the Cleveland Browns 15-10. Until next time, thank you as always for listening to the podcast with Austin and John. Have a good one.
Bye.
You have been listening to Stronger Than Steel podcast. Thank you for joining us today, and don't forget to check out our website listed in the description below.